know everyone like scares you, you're not gonna get any sleep, which is true. You know, you can try to plan as much as you can, but you are on their schedule. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Nikole. If you're new here, I am a kind of new mom. When do you stop saying you're a new mom? I have a now 7-month-old, which sounds so crazy. She just turned 7 months. And I have been meaning to do a full video on our sleep routine, our journey, how we got our baby to sleep through the night, all those things. I'm gonna be talking about the tools we used and just kind of like our routine and everything that goes into sleep. Because before I was a mom, I was always thinking, why do parents, all they talk about is sleep? And really, I've said this before, but when you're not getting sleep, it is top of your mind. Like, it is all you think about is when will you finally be able to sleep. And so if you are a new parent and you're watching this video, there's hope. Trust me, I have a bunch of notes here because throughout the last 7 months, I have been just making notes here and there. Anytime something would change in our sleep routine, I noted it because I knew I wanted to do a wrap-up video or something. Not a wrap-up, I mean, we're still every night is a new adventure, but I wanted to really remember these key milestones and things that we did and changes in Sage's sleep patterns, so that I would actually remember them, because mom brain is a real thing and you forget everything. So if I don't write it down, I forget. We're gonna go back to the beginning, but before we do, if you guys are not yet subscribed to my channel, click that button down below. It's free. I do mommy and baby videos. I do recipes, vlogs, lifestyle, healthy living tips, all those things. So if you like those, make sure you subscribe, stick around as you don't miss out on a future video. Without further ado, let's get right in and let's all try to get some sleep with our little ones. Let's go back to the very beginning. Sage's 1 month, which seems like forever ago. It really was. I mean, it's crazy how when you're pregnant, it seems like for me, it felt like things went slow when I was pregnant, and then the baby comes, and it's true what they say, time goes by so fast because you're just like in this routine and you just, I don't know, the days go by really fast. Let's go back to the beginning. Her first month. It was, honestly, I really enjoyed it. I know everyone like scares you, you're not gonna get any sleep, which is true. Like, they're a month old, they're new babies, they're just like, they're experiencing everything for the first time. And it's a scary world, you know, they were just in your tummy for 9 months, and then all of a sudden they're just like so much going on, lights, noises, new smells, all those things. And I'm sure it can be very jarring for a newborn. So I think it's always going to be a little bit crazy that first month, and I really had no expectations, and I think that's important to, you know, tell you guys out there too. Like, don't have expectations. You know, you can try to plan as much as you can, but you are on their schedule. And, you know, they may not even know the difference of night and day yet. They may be sleeping all day, up all night. So it's really just, you know, up in the air on how they're going to sleep during those first few weeks. So for me, I really, you know, I wrote actually a whole blog post in the middle of the night. I think I wrote it at like 5 in the morning after the first month, just on my thoughts during this time. And I was actually reading it earlier today. I was basically feeding Sage. I was doing cluster feeding, is when they basically are just feeding on demand every like they're like feeding for 45 minutes, and then you might take like a 10-minute break or a 20-minute break, and then they're feeding again. It's nonstop. You are a feeding machine during that first little bit. And I am going to do a full video about my breastfeeding adventure and journey, so stay tuned for that. But basically, you're just feeding around the clock, and then they're kind of sleeping whenever they're tired. And for Sage, like, she's always been a very alert baby, so she's never been one just to like doze off anywhere. The only places that she would really sleep was either on me. She would sleep on Matt too, but mostly she would sleep on me if she was breastfeeding, and then she would just pass out, which was, I just think back to those moments, cherish them if you're in that right now, because it doesn't stay like that for long. And it was just, like ugh, I just miss that. She would sleep on me, right on my chest for like 2 hours if I let her. Even if I would move, they just sleep through it. She would sleep in her bassinet, which I'll talk about the one that we used. And then she would sleep in like a carrier. So if I had her or Matt had her, we were doing things around the house, she would sleep. Or if we took her for like a nature walk or something, she would also sleep. She loved movement. So her bassinet moved. Like it had like a rocking motion to it, and she just would be on one of us, no problem, and sleep for like 2 hours. And she just loved that. We had a Snuggle Me, and honestly, I loved the concept of it. She just would sleep in there for maybe 10 minutes. Like, I think maybe she had one 20-minute nap. So she just wasn't a baby who liked to lay down flat. She either liked to be reclined. We had a swing that worked really well, the Fisher Price one. We had the Mamaroo, and honestly, it's like the more expensive one. And although it was really cute and she did like it to be awake in, she didn't really sleep in there much. None of those things, like we couldn't just put her down and sleep unless she was in her bassinet going for like a proper nap. I mean, during that first month, it's just like I said, you're on their schedule. So during this first month, you know, she was pretty good with like up more during the day and then kind of sleeping at night. But basically I would treat it like a little slumber party, as I like to call it. And I basically would just be up with Sage. I would have a movie on my laptop. I had like a snack caddy, some water, and I had my little salt lamp if I needed a light, which usually I did because I was still learning to breastfeed and stuff. And I would have to do sometimes diaper changes. So just, you know, I think if you mentally prepare yourself that, okay, I'm not going to get sleep. It's okay. I'll have some naps during the day. I usually would have a nap before the nighttime. I call it like my night shift. You know, I would sleep right after dinner. Matt would take her and I would sleep for a little bit so that, you know, she was going to be up for a bit, I wasn't like extremely tired. And that really helped. So I don't know. I really enjoyed that first month. Yes, I was tired. Yes, it was so much work, but like it was just that time I got to spend with Sage, bonding with her. Like she was inside me for 9 months and all I could think about is what she looked like, what she was going to be like. And then just being able to hold her in my arms was like the most precious thing. And I could just stare at her all day. Like, oh, this is the best time. So just enjoy it because it goes by so fast. And yeah, just know like you will get sleep again. Trust me, I'm getting sleep now and it's magical. It's wonderful. I have my life back, kind of. I'm gonna go through like the first 6 months more briefly, and then I'm gonna have more details in a blog post. So check that down below. I'm gonna have kind of like a breakdown of what our schedule was for like nap times, wake times, bedtime, and all that, if you guys are interested in that. So that will all be on the blog post because otherwise this video will be 2 hours long. But around the 4 to 6 week mark, we were starting to get into more of a routine. We, you know, would have our morning naps around 11. We kind of knew like when she would get tired and how long she was okay to be up for. So there's this thing called wake times, and I knew nothing about it before being a mom, and it's basically how long your baby is awake before they go back down to sleep. And Sage was very much like by the clock, the 2 hour mark, she had to be put down to sleep. Otherwise, she was so cranky. And even if I forgot to track it, I swear she'd be like, it'd be just at that 2 hour mark and she'd be losing her shit and we'd have to put her back down for a nap. So if you track it and know your baby, it just makes things so much easier because then you can just like, even that 5 minutes before the two hour mark, you can start to do the wind down, read them a book, have a little nap and bedtime routine, which I'll talk about, and then put them down before they get to that like freaking out overtired mode because it happens really, really quick when they're little. In terms of how she slept at night, we had her in the Snoo bassinet, which is a very expensive bassinet. So if it's out of your budget, there are other options. Don't feel like you have to get that one. I'll talk a little bit about it since I get a lot of questions. Yes, it was awesome. I would definitely need it for any future babies, but there are some downsides, which I'm going to talk about, but the reason I loved it is because I think it's actually rated the safest bassinet. Also, if you hear Sage screaming, she's just very talkative. She's with daddy right now eating. We had her in the Snoo bassinet and we ended up actually getting it secondhand. You can find them for like half price online on Kijiji or something, and they're barely used. Like people use them for 6 months and then your baby transitions to a crib, and a lot of times you can buy them with the receipt in brand new condition and you'll save a lot of money, and they hold their value. So if you want to resell it, you can also sell it for like almost the same price as you bought it, as long as obviously you keep it in good condition. It is an amazing bassinet. It has like, you can control it with your phone. It has a swaddle built in that straps them so they can't move around, or you don't worry about them turning. It has a white noise machine built into it, and it basically mimics like the womb, and it will do, it will move when baby starts to wake and slowly put them to sleep. And it is amazing for new parents. When every extra 5 minutes of sleep helps. And I do feel like it really did help with her sleep, and I just felt safe when she was in that bassinet. So that was her sleep arrangement for the first little bit. So I just felt so comfortable. I'm like looking there because that's where it used to be, and it's gone now. It's no longer here. She's officially in her crib. I did really like that one. A little overpriced, but I do think it's worth the money. I would just recommend getting it secondhand if you can, and if it's a little bit out of your budget, because you know, there's so many baby things you need to get, and it adds up. Also during this time, she was sleeping longer. I almost feel like that 2-3 month mark was like this magical time where she just seemed to be like the best sleeper. Her naps were amazing. She was kind of like on a schedule. Her bedtime was great. She would sleep more around like 4 to 6 hours. And like, honestly, that compared to like up every 45 minutes, that felt like a full night of sleep. And I just thought, like, what's the big deal? Like, what's everyone complaining about? Like, our baby sleeps so well. And I was just so naive. And I later found out that this is like, can be considered the honeymoon phase, where your baby is not really aware of the outside world yet, and like distracted by things, and their brain development isn't there yet, where they basically can just fall into a deep sleep really quickly. I thought we would just have this like perfect little sleeper and everything. She's just gonna now sleep all night. And you know, I think we got used to that schedule because we started staying up later and all that. And then around the corner comes the 4-month sleep regression, which ours kind of started around like 3.5 months. And it's a thing. It's a thing. And just, you know, don't be scared of it. But it's hard when you just went from like no sleep in the first month, finally getting sleep, and then there's no sleep again. And it was like we went backwards. She was up every 2 hours on the clock, sometimes every hour. And I thought I was going to lose my mind. I'm not kidding. Like, if you follow me on Instagram, and if you're not, you should follow me here. I basically vlog on there every day with updates and stuff. So just before the sleep regression, Sage had her longest stretch of sleep, 9 hours, which I feel like was such a tease. And then bam, sleep regression. And it was up every 2 hours on the hour. And then everything just went downhill from there. Not really, like it came back up, but it was rough for a bit. So also around the 3.5 month mark, she also started to not like her arms swaddled down. So I started to, you know, take out one arm and then the other arm, and she just slept better having her arms out. So I think it's really important to start looking for cues like that. And also, I know once they start rolling, you definitely want their arms out for safety, especially if the bassinet you're using doesn't strap them in and they can flip over. You want to make sure that they're able to flip back. So, and that they have their hands to support their face so they're not smushed in. So that's just like a safety thing. But also she just slept better with her arms out, and she would just be like so comfy, like, well, she's like on her back, like with her arms out, and she just looked really comfortable. So with the swaddle that this new comes in, we would actually swaddle her. We essentially double swaddled her, which I also didn't know was a thing. And what we would do is just take a regular swaddling blanket. There's a couple that I really like. I'll link them down for you guys. And I like the ones that are really soft and stretchy, and we would swaddle her first and then zipper her up in this new swaddle. And it may seem like your worst nightmare, but it just made her really cozy and also warmer, because she was technically a fall baby, but born in November. So, you know, by 1 month it was December and snowing outside, and I felt like the snoo swaddle was not warm enough for her because it does have like some airflow vents in it. So I would wrap her up first in a swaddle and then put her in there so she couldn't get her arms out, but also so she's like all warm and cozy like a little burrito, and she like would just sleep through the night that way. If we double swaddled her, she was comfortable. So it's like little things you start to notice, and then if they work, you go with them, and they will tell you, let me tell you, They will tell you if they're uncomfortable. I often would start my day with, we got no sleep last night, and it was just a bad time. And I think one of you guys actually reached out to this baby sleep consultant, Lily. So thank you to whoever did that, because you just helped us so much. And I don't know why I didn't look into this sooner. I knew there's people out there like that. I just didn't. I don't know, you're just so tired, you can't think. Lily reached out to us and we ended up doing a consultation with her, and she was honestly amazing. I know there's so many like sleep courses and stuff you can do. So I highly recommend, either seeing a consultant. I'll link Lily in the blog post down below. I'm not like affiliated with her or anything, but she just gifted us a session and her program and stuff. And it was so well laid out. And I honestly felt like I just had someone at my fingertips. I would like message her and DM her on Instagram all the time and send like voice notes back and forth with updates, or like, this isn't working, like help me troubleshoot this, blah, blah, blah. Like anything I needed help with, she was there, and she was just like that like friend I needed who actually knew the behavioral side to babies and sleep. And especially right now, it's just like not that many resources I felt like I had just being stuck at home. So when we were talking to Lily, we basically went over what our like sleep goals were and, our routine and stuff, because everyone has a different routine. Some people maybe want their baby to go to bed later, especially if one parent works maybe till 7. If your baby's asleep already by 6, you're not going to see your baby, right? So everyone's schedule is different, and you got to do what works for you and also what works for your baby, because every baby is different. So it's really important to basically create a sleep schedule based on your lifestyle, but also your baby's needs. And we did a consultation with Lily, and we spoke all about this, what Sage's current routine is, what routine we're looking for, and different like trouble spots we were having. One of the biggest things that we were noticing is I would basically have to breastfeed her to sleep, put her down in the bassinet asleep, and a lot of times she would wake up an hour later and be freaking out. And like, I didn't know why she was doing that. And speaking to Lily was really interesting, because she really taught us like why babies do different things, like looking at the behavioral side of things and just their like mental development around sleep at different ages, and why sleep regressions happen, and why doing certain things may be creating, I don't want to say like bad habits, but like why doing certain things can like cause other things to happen, we'll say. So it was really helpful, and she helped create a sleep and bedtime schedule, as well as wake times, really tracking those based on how old Sage was and kind of like how much sleep she should get at what age. And then also making sure that come bedtime that she wasn't not only overtired, but undertired. It's really important too. And one of the biggest things that she said that really stuck with us is not putting baby down asleep. Make sure that the baby is awake when you put them down to sleep. So even if you have to like wake them up a little bit so that they know where they are. And she explained it as, it'd be like falling asleep in your bed and then waking up in the kitchen and being startled by, your surroundings. And when she said that, it totally made sense, because there was many times I would hear Sage wake up, like if we were in the bed next to her, I would hear her move her head like back and forth and then freak out. And like she was scanning her environment, being like, where the heck am I? I was in mommy's arms falling asleep. And then before I know it, I'm like by myself in this basket and the lights are out, and it's very scary. She taught us how to sleep train, I guess the gentle way, because everyone's different. And if you're getting 0 sleep, you might do the more aggressive approach. And I don't judge you, because when you're getting no sleep, like it's not good for you, it's not good for baby. And you need to figure out a way to get the Z's. So we ended up doing like a gentle approach to sleep training, and I cannot recommend it enough. She really helped to guide us and do what felt comfortable for us. Yeah, we ended up just noticing so many improvements with Sage's naps, her sleeps, and even just like her sleep setup, where we would have the white noise, why it's important to have white noise, and also just teaching her to soothe herself to sleep instead of just, giving her the boob and having her fall asleep that way. I felt like the proudest mom when she finally started like sucking on her hand and stuff and then falling asleep that way, because really you're teaching your little ones an important lesson, and it is to self-soothe and put themselves to sleep. And this is something that I think is going to help them throughout their entire life. and hopefully become a better sleeper and enjoy sleep. Now back to the snoo. One of the downsides I noticed with the snoo is that it was kind of a crutch. It was amazing in the beginning, but as we were getting ready to transition away from it, I realized that a lot of the things that we were learning with the sleep consultant, the snoo was kind of going against it, and we basically put it on the weaning mode. So when we would put her in it, it wouldn't automatically be rocking her to sleep. We wanted her to be able to soothe herself to sleep instead of relying on, that motion. So we stopped that, and honestly, it could have gone a totally different way, but Sage responded really well to it. Once we stopped the snoo rocking and stuff, she was fine. She was okay. We knew it was coming up anyways, that we were gonna have to get her out of the snoo, because around the 6-month mark is usually when babies will transition into their crib. So it was nice to be able to do it a little bit before, and also just start that sleep training process. So once we started the sleep training and we stopped the automatic motion detector with the snoo, honestly, Sage's sleep got so much better. Her naps improved before her nighttime naps improved, which was interesting because we've heard that it's actually the opposite. Like, naps are actually harder to work on. So it was really nice. We at least got that better routine throughout the day. And then around this time too, she was basically sleeping really good throughout most of the night with one dream feed, which I'll quickly mention what a dream feed is. It is essentially when, you put your baby down to sleep, and then a few hours later, maybe when you're going to sleep. So for us, she would say go to sleep around 6:30, and then if I was going to bed at say 10 o'clock, I would go in, because she was sleeping in our room, I would go in, pick her up, a sleeping baby, I know, pick her up, and pop her on the boob. I would breastfeed her while she's asleep, and it's like magical. They don't wake up. They're kind of in this dozy, like, sleep limbo mode. And it's like they know, like, even when they're sleeping, they're like, it's so funny. And you put them back in the bassinet and they go back to sleep, and it's like nothing ever happened, except you have now delayed them waking up from being hungry. So then I could go to sleep and not worry that in an hour she's going to wake up being hungry, and then completely disturb my sleep. It just works out. It's this magical thing. I basically did this since Sage was just a newborn. So it's a great little trick. I don't even know if it's a trick. It's just like, highly recommend it. It will extend your sleep and also just teach them to kind of sleep in longer, and not wake up every 2 hours. And if your baby takes a bottle, you can even have daddy do the dream feed, and you can go to bed, say, at 9 o'clock, and then just sleep right through. And it's almost like you got a full night of sleep. So Sage did not take the bottle well. She did like a little bit, but honestly, it was just not consistent and predictable. I would always just breastfeed her, and yeah, it was a little bit harder because it was more on me. But if your baby does take a bottle, this is a great time for your partner to step in and just take the load off of mom a little bit. All right, now comes the exciting time. The 5.5-month mark is when we officially started transitioning Sage into her crib. And it's earlier than I thought I was gonna do it. I thought, I just want her in our room forever and ever. And honestly, I had this instinct feeling that Sage was just going to sleep better in her room. So we started with naps. I did a full week of naps first in her room so she could get familiar with it and not be scared when she's just going to go in there at night. And honestly, she did so well. So instead of the swaddles, we actually swapped her to a sleep sack. These are the ones that we use. I will link them below, and we have them in a few different colors and sizes. We love these. They are so cozy and warm. They're like a little duvet blanket for your little ones. They're safe because they actually zipper around their body, so you don't have to worry about it going over their face and being a suffocation hazard. So we love these, and there's so many different kinds and brands and stuff, but these are our favorite. And Sage loves them. Like, she just looks so cozy, and they're great for the winter, but also during the summer months when you have the AC on. This is great, and like I said, it's like a little duvet for them. So basically, we would have her in one of those. We also had a white noise machine on since we no longer had the automatic like built-in one in the snoo, and I will link the white noise machine we used. And then that was basically the setup. We also have like semi-blackout curtains in her room, so there's a little bit of light that comes in, but it's pretty much dark. And she did so good with her naps during that first week. And then after that, on the weekend, we transitioned her doing her official bedtime there, and oh my gosh, I was like, why didn't we do this sooner? I don't, like, all this time, she just wanted to be in her crib. She, like, needed the space. She was just rolling around, sleeping on her tummy, like living her best sleepy life. And at this point, like, I wasn't worried about her sleeping on her tummy. She has a really strong upper strength with her arms and can easily lift herself and cry if she needed us. Like, we would just have the monitor on and have the other one in our room or wherever we were if she's taking a nap. And she slept so good. She basically slept through the night with one dream feed. And I think she'd wake up around 4:30. I would feed her, and then she'd sleep again until like 7. It was honestly amazing. And I feel like if I would do anything different, it would be to transition her to her crib, even at 4 months. I feel like she would have been ready. And yes, it's sad when your baby leaves your room and they're right there. But like, when you get sleep, you'll forget about being sad that they're not in your room. You're just like, they're asleep, I'm asleep, and we're gonna have fun in the morning and enjoy the day and not be like a zombie walking around with your baby all day. Now, another thing that I think really contributed to her sleeping throughout the night has been starting her on solids. So we started her on solids around 6 months, and I know I've heard that they say food does not help them sleep longer. And I don't know if they say that so you don't give a baby like food too early before their like digestive system is ready to get them to sleep longer. But honestly, since Sage has been eating solids, like, she's been sleeping so much better. And I no longer do dream feeds. I basically stopped that around like the 5.5 month mark. We don't do dream feeds. She sleeps throughout the night, and she, you know, was waking up a couple times at like 4:30 in the morning, but now she's basically sleeping till 6:30. And then she'll just come into bed with us for a little bit. I'll feed her, and then she's like awake for the day, and her wake time officially begins. And then her naps are now she was doing 3 naps before because she was doing a nap every 2 hours. So it's just how it worked out before bed. And now she's transitioned to 2 naps a day. And it's funny because I was like, when do you know how to do this? Like, what's gonna happen? What do you have to prepare for? And like, they just do it themselves. So right now she's doing like a 2-hour nap in the morning, which is great because I'm able to get some work done. I'm able to like shower, work out if I want to. And then she'll do an hour nap later in the day. And her wake windows are also wider. So someone actually mentioned on Instagram, which I thought was a great kind of rule of thumb. And it was a 2-hour wake window, a 3-hour wake window, and a 4-hour wake window, like between the last nap and bedtime. And I really like that because I feel like Sage has been naturally doing that, but now being aware of it, I've kind of just been kind of keeping her on that schedule, and it's been really helping. Track the wake times, but honestly, at the end of the day, you know your baby, and if your baby's getting tired even after 1 hour, you know, put them down to bed, because growing happens in spurts sometimes, and they might just be going through a growing spurt and being really extra tired or teething or something and needing the extra rest. So don't, you know, keep up a tired baby just because the clock says so. You know, you have to use your own intuition and just kind of base it on your baby's needs at that time. So now at 6+ months, our routine is bedtime at like 6:30, between 6:30 and 7:30. We're not like super rigid. It's basically when Sage is tired and kind of like when we are ready to start putting her down to bed. And it's really important to have a bedtime routine. Our routine is so simple, but I think it's important to have some kind of routine and pattern for your baby to be able to know the cues that it's time for either nap time or bedtime. So without fail, we always read her a book, usually after I'm done breastfeeding her, so I can separate feeding from sleeping, and then we'll change her into pajamas. So we also always do daytime and nighttime clothes. I know it's very tempting to keep them in the same clothes all day, but you can also get more wear out of your clothes. So we'll use her pajamas more than once. And then, you know, I usually sing her a lullaby or something and either like swaddle her or put her in the sleep sack, close the curtains, put the white noise machine on, and then she knows it's time for bed. Sometimes she'll even start to fuss when she knows like the white noise machine is on, because she's like, no, I just imagine what she's thinking, like, no, mommy, I don't want to go to sleep yet. No, 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 no. And then like I close the door and she's like, out like a light. So it's always important to catch them right at that sweet spot, I think, before they get overtired, so that they will just go down peacefully. But yeah, having that routine and sticking to it, like we always do the book before naps, has been really helpful. I know some people do like bath time, massage time, all this stuff. Like we do like bath time like 2 nights a week. But like I said, she's not a messy baby and we're not really leaving the house. So there's just not a need for bath time every single night. But if that's your thing and that's what gets your baby to sleep, then you do you, because you know, you got to get sleep. Another thing I want to mention, because I was always so confused about this, or I would like judge parents about putting their kids to bed at like 5:30, is why do babies go to bed so early? And maybe you're like me. I used to not understand, like, who wants to go to bed at 5:30 or 6:30? But the thing is, when you actually have a little one and you notice their sleep pattern, like Sage will wake up at the same time in the morning. For instance, last night she went to bed at 9 p.m. because we were over at my mom's doing some pool time and she went to bed late. Kid you not, woke up 6:30. So it just goes to show, like, just because they go to bed late doesn't mean that they're going to wake up late. Sometimes that can be the case if that's their routine and that's what they're used to. Also, sometimes it's just like naturally for them, there's a certain time that they get their best sleep. So for Sage, it's 6:30. That is the best time, 6:30. And if we can get her to bed around then, she'll have her best sleep and she'll usually wake up around 6:30. That's just been the sweet spot for us. A lot of times babies will choose when they want to go to sleep, just based on how fussy they get. And yeah, if we keep Sage up too late, she just gets really fussy and it's no fun for anybody. She goes to bed at 6:30, but I used to always wonder that, so I thought I would just mention that in this video in case you're wondering. The other thing I want to quickly touch base on is bed sharing versus co-sleeping. So from my understanding, co-sleeping is basically when baby is sleeping nearby. Could be in a bassinet, right? Like some are ones that attach like to the side of the bed, or just in a bassinet close to you in your room, is essentially called co-sleeping. Bed sharing is when baby is actually in bed with you. And I honestly, everyone does their own thing and what they're comfortable with. There are pros and cons to everything. And for me, I thought that I would never be comfortable with Sage in our bed. I thought, oh my gosh, there's too much risk, blah, blah, blah. And it was just something that came very naturally to us. I ended up having Sage bed share, I'd say early in the mornings with us for little naps. And we all would just catch up on sleep. And it was just the magical time of the morning. And it just felt natural. Like her next to me, I knew, it was like my body knew she was there. We have a king size bed, so there's lots of room for her to be in the middle. If we were in a smaller bed, I would be more worried. But it's just like this weird thing that you just know your baby is there. Don't get me wrong, if you're a sleeper that is out cold and wouldn't wake up unless someone like smacked you on the head, like maybe, you know, you can think about if that is the right move for you. But like, I'm a light sleeper, so having Sage next to me, I could just I could breastfeed her lying down and like fall asleep, and then she could just pop off when she was done and fall asleep, and that was just what worked for us. But yeah, so I would bed share on and off. If she got up really early in the night, I would bring her into bed with us just to catch up on sleep. And honestly, at one point I thought, that's it, I'm just gonna bring her into bed with us. Like, I don't care, because I just need to get sleep. And then that's when she started sleeping in her crib like throughout the whole night. So, you know, I loved it, and I'd probably still be doing it. She wasn't sleeping in her crib really well, because to me, it just makes sense that like baby is close by to mom and dad. I am like for co-sleeping or bed sharing, but I think you just have to do it safely and what is like most comfortable to you. Because if you're not comfortable with it, I don't think you should do it. All right, I think I covered just about everything that I wanted to. Like I said, I'm gonna have a full breakdown in my blog post down below with like all the months and stuff and the different changes that happened then, so you can follow along if you're going through this journey on your own right now. And I feel you, it is a journey. And let me tell you, once they start sleeping through the night, things get better. You start to just feel more like you, and the days just seem a little brighter. So if you have any questions at all, leave me a comment down below. I will be reading through them, answering and chatting with you guys there. And if you like these type of more informative videos, give it a thumbs up. I am planning on doing a breastfeeding one, like I mentioned. Also, if you want to watch any of my other mommy related videos, I have a full playlist, which I will also link down below for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helps you and your family get some sleep. It's so important, and I know it can be really hard when you're not getting enough of it, but I promise good sleep is around the corner. So I'm sending good, positive, sleepy vibes to your household. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. Mwah! I love you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys. Wow, a whole video without Seiji. Feels so weird.